Good evening, good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good morning, good night. Wherever you are, whatever neck of the woods, we say hi, hello, welcome to another edition of On the Ball here at WINNFM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host, as we welcome listeners in St. Kitts and Nevis, the Leeward Islands, the OECS, the Caribbean. As a matter of fact, we welcome listeners from all over the world. And a lot of things happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Cricket, football, all kind of things. And guess what? We're in the middle of the track and field season. And that is something else. All kind of schools having all kind of meets, and the action is tight, really, really tight. All over the country. Central, east side, west side. Oh my. It's just an awesome feeling. And we are actually going to be having a few guests tonight. We are going to be having Mr. Samuel Spencer, who is the chairman of the Leeward Islands Cricket Board's selection committee. And he should be here with us about 7:30. We're going to be having Mr. Delwayne Delaney, the president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Athletics. He's going to be here with us around 8:30-ish. So 7:30, it's going to be Mr. Samuel Spencer. And he is on the ground here in St. Kitts. And he is the chairman of the Leeward Islands selectors for the cricket. And then we're going to have track and field. But hey, let us kick off the ball with some track and field out of SP, where the best be. And that is the Charles E. Mills Eagles, Sems Eagles, Charles E. Mills Secondary School, the Eagles. They had their sports day on Sunday. And my, what a meet that was. What a session. And the crowd was awesome. The competition was tight, very tight as a vice grip. And we saw some splendid performances. And what we can tell you in terms of how things went down, before we get to the overall position, the Class 3 champions, the runner-up boys was Zachary Thompson. He had 30 points. The Class 3 champion boy, Tevion Carty of Greenhouse. Zachary is of red. He had 30 points. Tevion Carty of Green had 55 points. A massive 55 points. And this is Class 3. In terms of the females, Jaquania Benjamin of Greenhouse had 28 points, while Naya Liddy, also of Greenhouse, bagged 42 points, and she was the Class 3 female champion. In terms of Class 2, pulling in 24 points was Bluehouser Jesse Daly, the runner-up. Runner-up for Class 2 boys, Jesse Daly, Bluehouse, 24 points. Nassim Gerald of Green was 28 points. He was the Class 1 champ. In terms of the female, Dejani Moses of Greenhouse, 20 points, the runner-up, while Maisha Liddy of Blue, 22 points, the Class 1 female champion. In terms of the big boys, Class 1, Tijon Webb of Greenhouse, he was second, runner-up, that is, second or the runner-up with 15 points. And the winner, Jermad Huggins of Red House, he amassed 16 points to be the Class 1 champion boy. And then female Uzariel Hodge, she was the winner from Red House with some 20 points. That's 20 points. And then we had Norencia Gums of Blue House and Danica Daly of Greenhouse, both of them tying with 17 points. So that was something interesting there. We had a tie. And Greenhouse really dominating all of these positions. And it just about was seen and felt and transferred to the points system, which we're going to tell you a little bit about in a few minutes. The overall champions, the Victor Ladorum and Victrix Ladorum. Well, that's the ladies first, so let us go with the ladies. Uzariel Hodge of Red House amassed 36 points, and she is in the Class 1 category. And just in case you heard me mention 20 points as the Class 1 champion, and now she's 36 points. No, it's not a mistake. The 20 points, the champions, they are garnered from Sports Day along with some pre-sports. And then when it comes to the overall champs, you include in the pre-sports as well as the steeplechase. And Uzariel, she was 36. Now the lady of Greenhouse, 49 points. The Victrix Ladorum, the lady, the athlete, the female athlete with the most points with everything. Steeplechase, heats, sports day. The pre-sports, as we'll call them, the competition, high jump, long jump, etc., etc. In terms of the Victor Ladorum, we had winner Tavian Carty, the runner-up, with Jermal Hughes being the champion, the Victor Ladorum. Victor the male, Victrix the female. And that was really awesome. It was really one meet to, you missed something. And yes, Basti High School, they had their meet. I'm awaiting the results from that. They had their meet at the same time. Sandy Point, the Sems, Eagles, their meet was at the new Sandy Point Recreation Ground, while Basti High School, the home of champions, their meet was at the Connery Sporting Complex. And in a sense, the two powerhouses of track and field here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So one wonders, why is it they were having their sports day on the same day? Because obviously they would have been competing for the crowds. So the Basti High diehards, the home of champions, they would have gone to Basti High. And similarly to Sems, and those persons in between who just wanted action, they would have been split. Some gone east, some gone west. But that is something that perhaps needs to be examined or re-examined and some adjustments made. Yes, Easter is a little early up. Easter is Good Friday is what? Easter Monday is the 1st of April, I think. And we have Carifta on that weekend. So schools trying, especially the high schools, trying to get their meets in so that their athletes can stand a chance of qualifying for the Carifta Championships, which are down in Grenada. So that was something else. If we look at the overall points system, Red House, they were really not into the scheme of things from the word go, so to speak. And I was I'm in a funny position. When I was in primary school, I was in blue. When I went to high school, Sandy Point High School, I was in red. When I taught at the Sandy Point High School, I was the housemaster for green. So it's one mix-up thing. So when I go to these sports, they have to wear a red shirt, a green hat, and a blue pants or something like that. And to show my colors, as it were. But red points before sports day. They went into sports day with 1,404 points. They were in number 3 slot. Greenhouse, they were second with 1,453. And Blue House went into sports day with the lead, 1,515 points. And this point system actually played out on sports day. By that I mean the same order going into sports day was the same order on sports day, albeit close, very close. Red at the top, Red House, 301 points on sports day. Greenhouse, 390 points on sports day. And then we had Blue House, 392 points on sports day. extremely close. 390 green in second, 392 blue in first. And overall, it was a little different story. Red House seemingly never in the thick of things. 1,705 points. Red House in the seller position. Number 3, 1,705 points. Greenhouse, 1,843 points. Greenhouse, 1,843 points. And then we had Blue House out front, taking the cake, winning everything. 1,970 points. Almost lapping Red House, so to speak. And not the tightest of sports days we've seen, really. Blue House winning by, that's a matter of 1,000. Forgive me. Yes? 1,000 and, no, not 1,000. Where's the math? That 43, that's 60 points. 64 points, winning by 64 points ahead of Green. And then Red House, there was some 95 and 98, 128 points behind Greenhouse. So maybe if they had a few more events, then Green may have caught up with them. And that's it for track and field. We're going to be having Zeke Percival or somebody from the St. Christopher Golf Club. They're going to be calling in and giving us some information. But while we wait on them, we go to basketball in the St. Kitts and Nevis Amateur Basketball Association. Their junior league kicked off a few weeks ago, and they're now into the second round. They're playing 2 rounds. They have 6 teams, each team playing 5 matches per round. And we had some games. And Smarlax had a song a few years ago, Watch the Creep Up. And I am thinking we got to watch the creep up in the basketball. Why? The team I'm going to mention, they're cutting down some big trees. They cut down the winner of the championship last year. That was the Rams Sandy Point Fruta Falcons. They cut down the finalists, the second place last year in this match. SL Horsford St. Paul's Tough Nuts. They took care of business 64-66, albeit close, but at the end of the day, it's who come out ahead on points. So on Saturday, the 17th February, Youth and Sports Raiders took care of business against St. Paul's Tough Nuts 66-64. One shot. And no doubt Tough Nuts tried to beat the buzzer, but they weren't able to do that. In terms of the points for the Raiders and the Raiders out of Nevis, and they've been coming along good. We had Corleone Sargent, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 4 blocks, squeezing a double-double there. Nicola Liberd, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. And Kamal Brandy, he had a double-double, 10 points, 14 rebounds, 2 blocks. And when we look at the Tough Nuts, Virani Francis, he had a game high of 26 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 steals. Tivadi Herbert, he had a double-double as well, 19 points, and a game high rebound of 24 points, snatching 24 off the boards. That's big. 3 assists, 5 steals, and 3 blocks. And that was the Youth and Sports Raiders out of Nevis taking care of business against the SL Horsford St. Paul's Tough Nuts Juniors 66-64. We go down to the other game, not close at all. Farm Care Boardwalk Uprisers, they were all over Rams Hitters 80-64. For Boardwalk, we had Deron Esdell, 23 points, 6 boards, 6 steals, 1 block. Shaquan Thompson, 16 points, 9 boards, 1 assist, 6 steals. While for the hitters, Shamar Sider had a big 33 points, game high. But it didn't quite matter. His team still went down. 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals he had. And Yon Esuboyo, he had a double-double. 15 points, 16 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. And that was an easy game going there on Saturday. And if we look at the points system, Sandy Point Footer, they've played 6 games, won 5 and lost 1 to the Youth and Sports Raiders. They have 4 games remaining. They are leading the table with 16 points. Youth and Sports Raiders, they've only played 5. They have a game in hand. They've won 4. And actually, these points are off from the 7th, as of the 17th. So they wouldn't, as the 17th, the last round of matches I called. So Youth and Sports Raiders, they have won 4, lost 1. They have 5 remaining, and they are on 13 points. So were they to win that other game, they'll go to 16. And somebody would have taken care of business against the Youth and Sports Raiders, because they've lost 1 game and they've won the 2. They've beaten the 2 big teams. So that's interesting. And how this thing goes, you beat the big teams and some small teams beat you. It's just sports, because remember, Kenya defeated the West Indies in the 1996 World Cup. Kenya was just getting into cricket, defeating the bad and mighty West Indies. That is back then. Now it's a different kettle of fish. St. Paul's Tough Nuts, they're third. They were second last year. 3 wins, 2 losses. And they have 11 points, 5 more games to go. Birdwalk Uprisers, they are fourth. They won 2, lost 4. They have 4 remaining. They are on 10 points. Rams Heaters, not doing that well here. They've lost 3 matches. They've won 2. They have 5 remaining. They are 9 points. And bringing up the cellar, the Achievers Sports Club's Jayhawks. They're yet to get off with a victory. They've lost all 5. They have 5 remaining. And they have 5 points. And if you're wondering, well, how come they've lost all and they have points? How the point system is, you win a game, you get 2 points. You lose a game, you get 1 point. And I think that's a good idea. It encourages teams to come and play. It's like in the heats. I remember sometime way back when you ran heats for school, you made the standard, or whether it's a jump or when you ran, you got a point. But somewhere along the line, I remember suggesting to, was it Sandy Point Primary, way back, that in order to encourage students, because a lot of students weren't going into the track and they weren't doing heats. And whether you can make time or not, is for you to participate. So I suggested, well, hey, 1 point for everybody who participates in heat, and 2 points if you actually made the standard. Are they doing it still? I'm not too certain, but I have to confirm that. I'm not certain if any other school is doing it. But to me, that is a system that will encourage participation. We're finalizing the basketball, and we are looking at games coming up on Tuesday. That's today at 6 o'clock. The bottom of the table, Achiever Sports Club Jayhawks, they would have been taking on the 3rd place St. Paul's, SL Horsford St. Paul's Tough Nuts at 6 p.m. And at 7:30 p.m. in the next 6 minutes or so, the defending champions and leader of the pack at the moment, Rams Sandy Point Footer Falcons, they are going to be coming up against the second to last Rams Hitters. So it's a Rams affair. The Rams management I guess one half they'll support one team, the other half they'll support another team. I don't know. But it's all happening at Basketball City, taking place right now. And we encourage everybody to go out and support them. And it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of action. It's all happening Basketball City up at Victoria Road. And that is something that you don't really want to miss out on. It's now 7:26 here in the studios of WINN FM 98.9. You're listening to On the Ball. The program heard every Tuesday on WINN FM 98.9 from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Biff Mills. And tonight, in the next few minutes, we're going to be having the chairman of the selectors, Mr. Samuel Percival. Sorry, forgive me, Samuel Spencer. He's out of Antigua and Barbuda. He's the chairman of selectors, and he's going to be with us in a few minutes. And then later on tonight, we're going to have the president of the St. Kitts and Nevis, or St. Kitts and Nevis Athletics. They had a change recently, so we're going to be having them in the program at about 8:30-ish. And hey, football is happening here in St. Kitts, and we're hosting 2 legs of the Under-23 CONCACAF Under-20 qualifiers. St. Kitts Nevis, they are participating in 1 leg, and then we are having another 4 teams participating. And if I'm just I'll tell you, the matches start on the 23rd. That is today is the 20th. That's in a few days. In Group E, and this is the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship, we are hosting 2 zones again. We have Group E, Puerto Rico, St. Kitts and Nevis, Haiti, and Cayman Islands. Only 1 team will proceed from this group. And this is a tough zone because Haiti is not an easy walkover, and neither is Puerto Rico. So St. Kitts and Nevis will have to bring its A game to come out of this zone. Just 1 team coming out of the zone. And Group F, we have Bermuda, Grenada, Jamaica, and Martinique. I guess the pundits might favor Jamaica with this one. However, you can't take your eyes off of Martinique. The French, they've been playing a lot of good football, and they have a lot of their footballers playing in France. But we have to see how it goes out. Now, if you look at the scheduling, on Friday the 23rd of February at 4, well, I think this game has changed to 5 p.m. instead of 4. We have Haiti coming up against the Cayman Islands, and immediately after, St. Kitts and Nevis will be hosting Puerto Rico. I am seeing a call coming in. I think that is from my guest. I am expecting. Let me take the chance and go straight to the line. Good. I'm seeing. I'm having a little challenge here. Good night. You're live on. Oh, I lost that one. Could you please call back? I apologize for that. Please do call back. 466-0989. And we're taking your calls at any point. We don't have to wait until after or when the guests are here. At any point, you can call 466-0989. And we are expecting Zeke to call in with some golf information. But if you want to call in, nonetheless, you have anything, any questions you want to ask, please do so. Call in 466-0989. Or if you're too shy, you can WhatsApp me 668-2055. You could send in your WhatsApp message and I'll be able to read it for you. Again, 466-0989. That is the number to call. And we continue on Sunday the 25th. We're still in Group E. Cayman Islands will come up against Puerto Rico at 4 p.m. And a very big game, St. Kitts and Nevis versus Haiti at 7 o'clock. And then on Tuesday the 27th, Haiti will be coming up against Puerto Rico at 4 p.m. And then we have St. Kitts and Nevis taking on Cayman Islands at 7 p.m. That is in Group E. And for Group F, on Saturday the 24th is a one-day Group E, next to Group F. So football for 6 straight days. We're going to be having Bermuda versus Grenada at 4 p.m. Saturday the 24th. And Jamaica versus Martinique. Perhaps the game that will determine the winner of that zone, that is at 7 p.m. Whereas on Monday 26th, we're going to have Martinique and Bermuda coming up at 4 p.m. Grenada and Jamaica will lock horns at 7 p.m. And on Wednesday the 28th, Grenada versus Martinique at 4 p.m. and Jamaica versus Bermuda at 7 p.m. It's all happening at the Technical Center up at St. Peter's. And we encourage you to go on out and support football, support the St. Kitts and Nevis team, support all 8 teams playing here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and support CONCACAF's Under 20 Championship. And you recall a few years ago we would have gone to Mexico, the Under 20, and we performed creditably well. But we really have to give it our best shot here, because there's only one team coming out of the zone. And in our zone, that is Zone E, a little toss-up, St. Kitts Nevis, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Cayman Islands, and in Group F, Bermuda, Grenada, Jamaica, Martinique. You're listening to On The Ball here at WINNFM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host, and we encourage you, if you have any questions, you can call us at 466-0989. Any questions, comments, suggestions, just give us a call, and we'll gladly take them. And at any point you can call, and we're just going to take a break for a few seconds. And of course we encourage any individual, group, association, organization, any entity, if you would want to be a sponsor of On The Ball, please contact our marketing department at 466-9586, and we'll gladly entertain you and tell you about our sponsorship opportunity. Don't go away, stick and stay. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back to On the Ball here at WINNFM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host, and we're going to have an interesting time tonight. Our guest is in the studio. We're expecting a call from Zeke Percival with reference of golf. We've touched track and field. We've touched some basketball. We've touched football. And we have some more track and field, this time from the St. Kitts and the Nevis Athletics coming in on the back end. But in studios, we have been graced with a gentleman. And we're going to go straight to Studio 2 and have him introduce himself. Good night, sir. Welcome to On the Ball here at WINNFM 98.9.
Good night. I'm Samuel Best Spencer from Antigua. I'm chairman of selectors for the Leeward Islands cricket team. That's the senior cricket team. And I am here in the capacity of Samuel Best Spencer, speaking West Indies cricket mainly. I feel very honored to be here tonight. Mr. Mills is doing a fantastic job for the people of the Caribbean, and as he appealed for sponsors for this show, I'm just appealing to individuals out there to please get on board. You know, every little penny matters, yes, but in sponsoring anything like this, a program as good as this program, you would certainly get some good mileage. So at least come on in, discuss with Mr. Mills how you can at least assist. And remember, educating your people is a part of your responsibility. And the sports is a vehicle through which you can develop your society. Again, I'm Samuel Best Spencer, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. This is not the first time you've been here, actually. First time in studio, but we've had you about 2 weeks ago or thereabout, and you would have called in from Antigua. And we thank you for that. We really appreciate it.
Yes, indeed.
Now, Mr. Spencer, tomorrow's match, St. Kitts and Leeward, against Trinidad and Tobago. But before we go there, no doubt you'll be very happy with the performance of the Leeward's team from their second game against the defending champions, Guyana Harpy Eagles.
Indeed, I'm satisfied. I wouldn't say I'm over-elated as yet. One very good thing came out of that game, and I'll say extremely excellent thing that came out of that game is the performance of Michael Louis. You know, getting 2 centuries, 113 and 130. He's a young man that over the years I've watched, and I've often said, all this guy needs to do is to work on his defense. He has all the shots, but I always felt that his defense was weak. And watching him this season, I've seen that vast improvement in terms of his technical ability and the choices he have made in terms of deliveries that he would dispatch and deliveries that he would defend. And I'd like to congratulate him personally for his achievement. He made us in the Leewards very proud indeed. And of course, I just want to say to him, don't get swell-headed at all. This is only the beginning. You've got lots more to do. Go on and set yourself high goals. I would like to see you come out of this competition with 5 more matches to go with at least 800 runs. I would be very happy. It would allow for the West Indies selectors to look at you as a possible candidate, since the West Indies is actually struggling for opening batsmen.
That's a very good plug coming from the chairman of selectors, Mr. Samuel Spencer. I'm hoping he's listening, but it's very important that he needs to keep on the ground.
Yes.
He'll be excited, relishing the moment. And I saw an article where I think it was 9 players who would have scored double centuries dating back to 1967, was it?
67.
With Roy Fredericks and double centuries, centuries in both innings. So he's one of 9 persons to have done that, and a young man indeed. And looking at his performance, the first innings, he would have had his 113 from 221 balls, 10 fours and 5 sixes, with a strike rate of 51. In the second innings, he increased the strike rate roughly by about 50%, 130 runs. However, only in 168 balls, 11 fours and 5 sixes, a strike rate of 77. A tall gentleman, lean and lanky, so it is suggesting that he loves to hit the ball to the boundary and over the boundary. 11 and 5, and then what we would have had the first innings, 10 and 5. So that's 21 fours he has had and 10 sixes. Good performance. You mentioned 800 runs. But suppose he were only to get, say, 500. Does that mean that the West Indies selectors wouldn't look at him in a favorable manner?
I would not say that. I would say that in scoring runs, one have to look at the circumstances, the conditions under which you score your runs, the bowling attack against which you score your runs. So even if he were to get 550, 600 runs, and he score runs against good bowling attack, good sensible batting, because what West Indies need now, and I've been saying for a long time, is a batsman at the top of the order who has good technical skills and also have this appetite for runs, an aggressive player with good technical skills. We haven't seen that. We've seen a case here where we have the captain, Craig Brathwaite, and now Shanda Ball opening the batting, 2 of similar kind. And it's quite easy for bowlers to dominate these batsmen.
Good point.
And hence it puts a little bit of pressure on the batsmen who would come after. Because we know that in cricket, you would have to look at what goes before to determine what will come after. And you would find that a bowler may not be bowling extremely well, but because he's able to pin down our opening batsmen and then finally dismiss them, he gets that pluck to allow for himself to be confident enough to be able to hit a spot, and be able to allow for his bowling to improve and then tear away at the other batsmen. We've got to look seriously at the cricket, and I want to maybe emphasize a bit on this point. I can remember when Shanda Ball was chosen to open the batting with Craig Brathwaite, and he had scored some runs. There were lots of people who were saying, now West Indies have found a great opening pair. You have to analyze things. And I am not saying that I am the greatest analyst when it comes to cricket, but I know for a fact that I have a lot of cricket knowledge, and I wasn't too comfortable with the fact that we're having 2 opening batsmen of similar nature who at times are unable to get away the ball, even unable to pick up the singles. And I know it would bring to bear pressure on our middle order. And the evidence is there. He got away with these things early because he was new to Test cricket. But now bowlers have worked him out. If you notice, even in the matches played so far, and the one in particular against us here in St. Kitts, how we were able to dismiss him. The feet weren't moving enough. He wasn't getting side on. He was sort of getting square on. And hence, if the ball does anything in terms of movement, you tend to push the bat towards the ball. And the same can be said about our captain. I've said over the years that Craig Brathwaite, he had made runs periodically and made runs at times when West Indies had really needed runs. But technically, there's so many flaws. I've seen him unable to drive through extra cover and cover. He will play it off the back foot. But on the front foot, he's tugging the ball towards mid-on. A lot of right hand coming into the shots. And he had, over the years, killed a lot of drives that could go through mid-off and through extra cover by tugging with the right hand and then, hitting the ball into the ground rather than a smooth flowing shot through the offside. And that is one of the things that allow for him not to score freely in Test cricket. If you check his strike rate, I can almost be certain that it is about 30 runs, maybe 30 runs per 100 balls. And for Test cricket, if you're playing in modern Test cricket, you have to be striking much, much higher than that. You have to be more dominant. You have to have that presence of the crease. And too many times, if you were to check his dismissals, squaring up, caught a slip, caught behind. This is a deficiency that have plagued the captain for years. And I don't know if he can change now because I haven't seen the adjustments being made. So seeing a Mikel Louis being what he is, and I'm not saying that 2 centuries make you the greatest batsman or the best batsman around. But watching those centuries and watching the youngster over the years shows me that there's vast improvement. And I've seen better technical skills from him than I saw before. And I may dare say, having seen 4 innings from him now, I've seen better technical skills from him as an opening batsman than I've seen from many of the other opening batsmen over a period of time. And that is why he's able to score runs. Confidence with aggression and also in defense.
Good defense.
Good defense.
That is wonderful. Did you coach before, Sam?
Yes, I did. Actually, I'm from a cricketing village, the village of Enoch Lewis, Curtly Ambrose, Wrigley Jacobs, Ed Lewis. And I'll just give you a little bit of background on that. When you spoke cricket in suites, you're going to talk about the Lewises, the Greens, the Spencers, mainly. And then you had the Ambrose and so forth who came after. As a matter of fact, incidentally, the last game that I captained was the first game that Wrigley Jacobs ever played for our community.
Okay.
Right, so he was a youngster, about 15 or so years old. My brother, who also toured Jamaica with the Antigua school team at that time, was a wicketkeeper. And when I selected Wrigley Jacobs, I put him in the 11 to play, and I allowed for him to keep wicket. There were lots of people saying, oh, how come, my brother wasn't, and he is the better wicketkeeper, and so forth and all that. But you've got to have eyes for detail. You have to have eyes in terms of, being able to spot talent.
Can I ask you to hold 1 second, Sam, as we have a call?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Good evening, caller. Welcome to On the Ball. You're live.
Good evening, Biff. This is Zeke Percival.
Oh, Mr. Golf himself. How are you, sir?
I'm giving thanks, my brother.
Okay, what do you have for us tonight?
I'll just have some updates for you on some golf. Played on the weekend and some golf that's coming up in a short term. Just want to talk about the played on the weekend is the Starboard knockout tournament. We had 14 matches on Saturday played in the Starboard knockout tournament, played at the Royal St. Kitts Golf Club. We had match number 1, Zeke Percival versus Elvis Bowen. Zeke came out the winner in that one. The second match was Dr. Vance Gilbert versus Watt Charles Blake. Dr. Gilbert advanced to the second round. The third match was Darian Fleming versus Michael Davis. Michael Davis emerged the winner in that match. The fourth match was Christopher Hensley. Chris Hensley versus C.J. Jeffords. Chris Hensley came out the winner. The fifth match was Sam Norford versus Harry DL. Sam Norford, the winner. The sixth match was Clayton Howdiel versus Seymour Mills. Clayton Howdiel came out the winner. And the big match we had, the seventh match, we had the defending club champion, AJ Norford, coming up against Kevin. I don't remember the last name of Kevin. I don't have it in front of me. But Kevin is here with the FIFA football. I think he's teaching some kids in the development FIFA field. So footballer turned golfer. And he defeated the club champion AJ Norford. So Kevin is going on to the second round. The second round will be played on Saturday, 12 o'clock at the Royal St. Kitts Golf Club. So there was 14 matches, 7 matches going forward into the second round.
How is the second round structured? Are these 7 players going to meet each other, or
well, there was one bye. There was one person will get a bye, so somebody will get a bye on to the third round.
Okay.
So on Saturday we will do the draw. Who is going to play who? Because it's dog eat dog. But we'll do the draw on Saturday. Just before we go out, we'll get to know who is playing against who on Saturday.
And you did say Clayton Mills, he was the winner of the 6th match?
No, Clayton Howdiel. He beat Seymour Mills.
Okay, Howdiel. Well, I have to speak to Seymour as a Mills. I expected better. I expected better of him.
Yes, you need to. But from feedback, he played well, but the youngster Clayton Howdiel was just too much for him on Saturday.
Well, it's really a good thing when you have top players coming up against younger players who are coming through, whether by age or experience. And the younger players really push them aside. To me, it augurs well for the competition and the development of the particular sport.
And that's right. That's the beauty about golf.
Because
age doesn't play too much in it.
Because even Rock Blake, as a small boy coming up, Rock Blake and I think a relative of yours, I can't remember, the other Percival and Norfolk. These were basically the names I kept hearing. I wondered, well, only 3 people playing golf in St. Kitts. So, but congratulations to the winners. And what time are you starting on Saturday?
12 o'clock. We start at 12 o'clock on Saturday.
And it's going to be played where?
At the Royal St. Kitts Golf Course.
And you're playing the 18 holes?
18 holes, yeah.
Okay.
It's a knockout. But it may go to 18 because what we do, we play match play. Where match play is 1 up. If I win the first hole and I win, so if I'm 4 holes up and there is 3 holes to go, the match is over.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's a good tournament. We want to say thanks to Starboard House for sponsoring. This tournament been around for a while, but then it went off the radar. But we bring it back this year. Okay. And it's showing good signs.
We thank you very much for calling and giving us the information.
Yeah. And if I may also, we have coming up in May, we have the St. Kitts Open coming up. Before I go to the St. Kitts Open, this coming Sunday is the E-Zone Cup playoff. the E-Zone Cup playoffs, where you get a point, and the points will take you into the finals, which will be played on the 20th of May at the Four Seasons Nevis. That's the 20th of May. That will be a day after the Johnny Walker Sinkits Open, which will be played from the 17th to the 19th May. So we got a lot of action of golf coming up over the few months.
Okay, that's really something. A lot of golf coming up here.
Yes, a lot of golf coming up.
So you have the E-Zone Cup this coming Sunday, the playoff.
This coming Sunday. So we got the knockout on the Saturday, and then on Sunday the E-Zone Cup playoff.
Are there any restrictions in terms of who can play this? Could anyone play, or you had to qualify earlier?
It's open up to anyone.
Okay, so I could just come
Anyone.
over, bring my golf kit, and enter.
Yes.
Well,
of course.
I'll probably have to do about a 2, 3, 4 hours warm up to get an idea how the game is played.
I'm sure that you will do better than the other males.
Oh, okay then. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
So we welcome that. So I'm looking for. I'm just encouraging everyone to come on out on Saturday and Sunday for some fantastic golf.
Appreciate that, Zeke. Congratulations to the winners again. Congratulations to the organizers and to your sponsor, Starboard. And indeed, the persons who did not win. We encourage you to go back in the nets and work a little harder. Next time might be your time. And
that's right.
Best wishes for the competitors in the E-Zone coming up on Sunday.
Yes, and also the Johnny Walker Sinkits Open. That's the big one on the 17th to the 19th May.
Okay. So keep on walking, keep on playing. And
that's right.
And we wish you all the best. Thanks a lot
thank
again.
you. And thanks for having me, man.
My pleasure. Anytime, you're always welcome. We're only a call away.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
No problem, sir. Have a good night.
You too.
That was Zeke Percival, one of the premier golfers here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, telling us about what's happening in the golf, the community of golf. And the Starboard knockout we would have had, that's continuing this coming Saturday. And then we're going to be having the E-Zone Cup final, E-Zone Cup rather, on Sunday. There's another call coming in. Let's go to the line. Good evening. Thank you for calling on the ball here.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm blessed, highly favored, giving thanks. What about you, sir?
Welcome, Mr. Samuels, the chairman for the Leeward Islands Cricket Selection Committee.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And by the way, should I give them a little secret, Mr. Samuel, about you today?
Yes, you can.
Oh, well, today is his birthday, actually, so we're extremely fortunate.
Happy birthday, man. You know, I guess he just turned 21, right?
Indeed, that's the same thing I told him. He could have been anywhere doing any kind of things with anybody on his birthday, but he chose to be here with us. So we really greatly appreciate it.
It's really good to have someone come in and talk cricket. We really need that. We need more advocation and more advocates for cricket, especially in our region, in our island in particular.
Thank you.
Mr. Samuel, I've been involved with cricket for a little bit, but I just thought that in the interest of time, I have a few questions that I wanted to ask of you.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps I can just maybe read them out, and then you can comment, and then rather than we go back and forth. I don't know if that suits you. And if it's okay with the host?
Yes, it's quite okay.
I can just bring my questions up. And I'm really, really happy to have someone like you here. I'm on board regarding Leeward Islands cricket. Always a concern of mine.
Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, sir, again, is welcome and happy birthday at the same time.
Thanks.
What I wanted to know, sir, selection committee, as you have been the chairman of the selection, who are the other members of the selection committee for Leeward Islands? Can you maybe just verbalize those names for me, please?
Mr. Shane Jeffers and the coach, Mr. Stuart Williams.
Oh, and Stuart Williams, okay. So those are the only persons that is involved in selecting.
Yes, I'm chairman, and those are the other two selectors.
Okay, that's great. Now, that said, I thought I might ask a question here. The brand of cricket that you have introduced and applied to Leeward Islands players, how does that synchronize with the West Indies brand? You know, a lot of times we have a situation where, we're playing on the West Indies brand, which we're the only member in the world structure of cricket that have all these several, we'll say, sovereign countries, and everybody have their, individual coaches and and basically management and associations. Now, the West Indies is regarded like one umbrella. So the brand of cricket that we play in the league was, is that synchronized with the West Indies brand? And that's one question I would like to ask of you. Maybe you can, you might want to note that, and I can go on quickly to the next one.
Basically, I would like to answer the question, as it comes,
No problem. No problem.
And I'll say that the unfortunate thing in the Leeward Islands is that we haven't been able to play as much cricket as we would like to, given, the financial state of the various countries.
Yep.
However, for whatever cricket has been played, I would say in Antigua we have played the most cricket as a Leeward Island country. Now, in St. Kitts, I've learned that most of what is played, St. Kitts Nevis, is 20 overs and in some instances 50 overs. Now, in developing the player, it is quite challenging to play cricket, of such nature if you want, for instance, to have 4-day cricket being played. And it's not a case where the board haven't tried, but I am going to task the governments of the Leewards to pay more attention to sports, and in particular cricket, which is one of the most expensive sports to play. And because of the fact that we are unable to have sufficient competitive cricket in the various formats amongst the islands, it doesn't really afford us to produce the brand of cricket that I personally would like to see the Leewards play. But we are moving towards that. I think the board now has laid the foundation for it to happen. And going forward, you're going to see the Leeward Island rise to the top of West Indies cricket. We're going to be at the pinnacle because we're going to set our own formats, we're going to set our own structure, and we're going to set the bar very high indeed.
You're the caller? It seems as if we have lost that caller. We do apologize, caller. Could you please, it looks like he's calling back. Good evening. Welcome to On the Ball here at WIN FM 98.9.
Yes.
We do apologize for that caller.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
You may
I
continue,
quite understand that. I think that's very good. The only problem that I have is when we develop our own brand, it might be a bit challenging for us to have a brand and then the other members who will be playing with as a team have a different brand. So this is why I was asking that question, to ensure that there's some kind of coordination that works between our brand and all the other different territories' brand. And then we have a West Indies brand, which I think we should have a master brand that everybody should be playing under. That's the first thing I would like to suggest.
And
that's very important. You can't have one, we Leeward Islands have a brand, and when you go to Trinidad, got a different brand, Jamaica, and you got a whole different different brands that is playing for West Indies. That could be a little problem there. So that's one of the concerns that I have.
Yes, and you're right. You are right, because what happens here is that the West Indies board has a director of cricket who would lay out policies and programs that we see happen, throughout the island. And this is supported by various boards. And hence, when we speak of brand, we also have to look at what amount of cricket you play, what format of cricket you play, and what you would want to achieve as a state, or as in this case, the Leewards and Windward Islands.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. As a follow-up to that quickly, the coordination and application exchanges between the Leeward Islands Cricket Association development program, how is that disseminated among the other sovereign countries? We have, I think, 7 or 8 countries that make up the Leeward Islands. Is there a program that's been sent to or that's been given or coordinated in any shape or form to the other islands within the Leeward Islands?
I could
Maybe
not.
that's another thing we like to look at.
I cannot speak definitively to that because I am not really a member of the Leeward Islands Cricket Association. I'm only a selector and
Okay.
just recently appointed on the cricket committee, of which I have to learn, I have to review, I have to watch what is happening, I have to, share my opinion based on my knowledge. But I know that there are competent people placed in these positions, and from what I gather in terms of my understanding being new to that particular aspect of the cricket, is that information are disseminated to all the territories and that there are processes that have to be followed in terms of
Good.
development in the territories. But as I emphasized earlier on, whereas you may have set programs and the policies, you also need the support as it relates to finances. So you may find one territory might be able to do a little better than another because they may have a little more resources. What I think that we want to see in the Leewards is a fair advantage, or do no one be disadvantaged in terms of their development. And I know for a fact that this has been worked on. As a matter of fact, we will be having, as you know, Leeward Islands full seniors cricket tournament in June of this year. And that in itself would allow for the development of the brand that you spoke about early on. When I speak of Leeward Islands cricket, I'm very passionate about it. That's me. I just will go on and on and on. But I feel Leeward Islands cricket will and is moving into a better place.
Okay. That's good to know. That's good to know. It's just a matter that I think we just need communication, more communication between our islands and especially through cricket. I think that's one thing that's lacking in my view. Now, one other thing here that I would like to quickly add here, and this is regarding to the attention, the pitches. Now, I'm not sure if we ever recently had any kind of curators, what will say, an upgrade, an update, or a review in the curators within the Leeward Islands in preparation of pitches. The pitches, to me, bring out the better players. And if we do not have refresher courses for the curators within the Leeward Islands in pitch preparation, that again could be a detriment. I haven't heard of anything like that recently. I haven't heard of anyone of our curators here going on any upgrades or any particular trainer or anybody coming to train them. I think that is something we'd like to suggest. Maybe you'd like to take it back to your manager, your CEO, in that regard. This is something I'm very, because, from the Cricket World Cup, we used to have like a lot of training curators coming in from Trinidad and Jamaica and so on, and they really let our curators here know, hey, what was the new science within pitch preparation. That's very important, especially when we have been viewed around the world as, having flat pitches, or the pitches them are not really doing anything to help bowlers. So that I think is something that will help our players also. And my last question I will leave with you just quickly while you lament on that, is that how many academies we have within the Leeward Islands? What are the academies doing? How do they coordinate what is going on in the different academies, and maybe have a report coming to what the players are doing, how they're doing, and that kind of stuff? Where's the communication and the synchronization with the different academies, whether it's in Antigua, whether it's in Kitts, whether it's in the other islands? How do they coordinate the programming and look at the players that come into and the players that they have eyes on and stuff like that? That's another thing that is my concern. And I'll wrap it up by just asking about women cricket. Development of women cricket within the region. I'm not sure if you're covering women cricket or just for the seniors level, but that's the other thing that we don't hear much about in this our area here in the area of, let's say, communicating, promoting, encouraging schools program, these kind of grassroots program where we get the female involved very much in our area. So I will leave that with you, sir, and I'll let you just lament on that on the radio. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, caller.
And I would say that As we speak, I know that in Nevis, they have some training being done as it relates to female cricket in the Leeward Islands. That is currently taking place. And I think what has happened, honestly, and I have to take this back to our CEO, our president, and things like that, you know, in my capacity as a selector, I cannot speak, towards all the activities of the board. I am not in a position to do so. But what I do know that they're doing quite a lot of work at this moment to show some improvement in our cricket. But you mentioned a very important point, and that is communication. I think the board, will now have to reach out to let the public, maybe on this very program or on other programs in some of the other territories, to let the public know the work that they are doing. Because if you don't at times, come out and have the public know, they will just assume that you're not doing anything. And I will harp on the fact that Leewards, they are doing things behind the scenes that will come out to bear fruit very shortly. And I can tell you, as I sit behind this microphone, the Leeward Islands cricket is going to rise to the top of West Indies cricket. And that is when West Indies cricket is going to be better than it is right now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spencer. Interestingly enough, with what you just said, and thank you, caller. Very good questions, very good contribution indeed. My uncle, the late Andrew Weeks, the only test umpire to date from the Leeward Islands, he always said, when Sandy Point cricket is strong, because he was from the Sandy Point community and I am from Sandy Point, St. Kitts cricket is strong. Mm-hmm. When St. Kitts cricket is strong, Leeward's cricket is strong. And when Leeward's cricket is strong, West Indies cricket is strong. He always said that. I thought he was being insular, but I've sort of seen it over the years. We have another caller, Mr. Spencer. Good evening, caller. Welcome to On the Ball here at WINNFM 98.9.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
And how are you doing?
Quite good, sir.
Well, first of all, let me take the opportunity to wish you and this very important day in your life happy birthday.
Thank you.
And may God richly bless you and hope that you will live to see many, many, many more years.
Thank you, sir.
I think last week when I was there in the studio, Troy would have wished you happy birthday, which he assumed that your birthday was on that day.
I could take two of them,
Right. So at least you are just preparing. You are in your month and having a whole month to celebrate. It is something that is very, very, very important. As long as you have life, where there is life, there is hope, and it's important for us to make whatever contribution we are asked to make, that we do it in the best possible way, where it can impact and benefit individuals, communities, teams, families, and by extension, countries. And I want to commend you. I would have listened to your contribution, I think, some few weeks ago, and you would have done an excellent job, in my opinion. And I want to commend you and encourage you to continue to do what you have done in the past, and you would have indicate that you are still willing, able, and interested in continue to make the best positive contribution in the interest of Leeward's cricket and, by extension, West Indies cricket. But I want to say tonight that I am extremely happy and proud because very shortly, and I can speak for myself as a commentator, and as I said, I have seen many, many players over the years, especially speaking from the Leewards, from Antigua, from Mountstuart, Nevis, St. Kitts. But for some reason, over the years, even the many Kitchens over the years who would have done what was necessary, what was needed, what was important, they never ever got the opportunity which was rightfully earned by their performance in being called to play for the West Indies team. And unfortunately, in the past, the West Indies selectors never called it right. Well, I am expecting sometime this year, as I speak to you this evening on your birthday, just about 8:16 p.m. in the night on this Tuesday, here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, specifically in Bastille, and precisely in the studio as WINNFM, that Kyle Louis right now is the best opening batsman in the West Indies. He has competed in 2 games so far, and which he would have played also where the 2 West Indies present opening batsmen are available and would have competed in also the same tournament. And he has looked a class above all of the other opening batsmen around the region. This guy is a special player. And the West Indies selector, Desmond Leo Haynes, the chairman of selectors, I expect Desmond Haynes to call it right. And it is going to be a massive celebration because for at least the call for St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of the performance would be acknowledged, rewarded, and supported. So I am looking forward for good things. At least he would be, and you would have rightfully mentioned in terms of the development of West Indies cricket, because at that time, in the future, we are going to have at least 3 to 5 players from the Leewards in the West Indies team, just like when we had Ambrose and Richie Richardson and Keith Atherton and the Benjamins and so in the West Indies team, having just about the best pace attack. Also, the Leewards had the best pace attack at that time in the regional tournament, and West Indies was very, very strong. Unfortunately, after we lost the game in Jamaica against Australia in 1995, when Steve Waugh pushing forward took the edge and into the hands of Courtney Brown, who dropped that catch, and Steve Waugh went on to make a double 100, and Australia won the game and unfortunately won the series. And there is no further progress in terms of West Indies going any further up. It has been just downhill over the years. We would have seen glimpse of glory and success over the years, but we have not reaped the kind of benefits. But when I looked at the kind of performances and the quality of players who are around in the region right now, just need the opportunity where these guys can come in. They would have come off of a very important win in Australia, and many young players, we went to Australia as the underdog. We didn't expect to win a game. We came out where we had a performer in that particular game, and I am saying that the West Indies selectors, both Joseph and Jeremiah Louis, I don't think that we have any need for Roach right now. He would have made his contribution, tremendous performer over the years, taken over some 200 test wickets. We are very proud of his contribution, but we are going to move forward. forward. And when we are going to move forward in having the present West Indies captain, which we expect him to start in England, accompanied and partnered by Kyle,
10 seconds
a young
more,
man
caller,
at the
please.
age of 23.
Caller,
We just
10 more seconds. We'll want to give Mr. Samuel a chance to respond, and you've said quite a mouthful. We appreciate the call, but we'll also want him to give him a chance to comment on your opinion, your view. Please, 10 more seconds. Wrap up, please.
So I just want to say that this young man at the age of 23, born the 19th of August, 184 days, this is a young talent, a special talent, and we expect him to be rewarded. We expect him to continue to do very well in the tournament. And I just want to ask you, as the chairman of selectors, what are your official opinion in reference to Kyle, his performance? He would have done very well even 4 years ago, because he has now been delayed in making the West Indies team, but he will not be denied, because he should have been in the Leeward's team at least 4 years ago at the age of 19, but I will deal with other situation and information the next time around. So I just want you to comment in reference to his performance, being the leading run scorer, in terms of as a player, as an opening batsman, and your view in respect to Jeremiah Louis, and by extension the West Indies for the tournament. I would want you to comment, and the other things that I will leave, I will just let you comment and these particular questions, and then I would also like to comment to add another contribution.
Thank you very much, caller. We really appreciate it.
Yes, first of all, as a selector, when you select a player, you select that player to perform a specific duty or multiple tasks in a team. And when that player or those players perform, it gives you great pleasure. And I must say that Louis has brought joy to my heart. And one of the things that we need to look at carefully, because I find that sometimes people would want to deal with issues of segregation, separating the islands and so forth. I don't look at it that way at all. When I see a man, it's a man I see. And if you're a Leeward Island player, you're a Leeward Island player. You know, and I am proud to know, irrespective of where Mr. Louis is from, that he has done justice to the selectors. He has done justice to the people of the Leeward Islands. He has done justice to himself. And if he continues in this vein, he will, of course, mark his name down in the books of the West Indies selectors. And I do hope that if he gets that opportunity, that he will show the same impetus. He will go there and perform and make Leeward Islanders proud.
Thank you very much for that answer. A question. Let us suppose Troy Biff Mills playing for Leeward Islands as a batsman, and what position he's batting, whatever. He comes out of the season with in the top two perhaps, and you're hearing a West Indies team of some sort being announced, and Troy Biff Mills is not included. How do you, as chairman of selector, deal with that, and how do your selectors deal with that?
In principle, I can remember, might have been about 2 years ago, I spoke with then president of West Indies Cricket, Mr. Ricky Scarrett. And, you know, we had some long discussions about cricket, and he said to me, young man, you know, you're very knowledgeable. You know, you should speak to the other selectors, the selectors who are selecting West Indies cricket team. Have a dialogue with them, you know, and I began to do that. You know, I spoke with people like Robert Haynes, Desmond Haynes, amongst others. And I sort of draw information from them as to how they go about selecting, you know, players and what they look for, and do an analysis and a comparison to what I look for in terms of our players. we were not always on the same page as far as what they would tell me and what I view. Because no one can deny the fact that there has been insularity in West Indies cricket. And that is something that I, as an individual, want to ensure that it is stamped out. Starting in the Leeward Islands, because you've heard in times gone by that there may have been sense of insularity and sense of people favoring people and promising people selections and things like that. I, for one, under my stewardship, under the current board that I serve, I would not endorse anything like that. And hence, if you're talking about a player performing from the Leeward Islands to a level that is far better, it exceeds others, and given a specific position, because when you select a team, you're not going to select 12 opening batsmen or things like that, or 9 middle order batsmen. You've got to select people to do specific jobs. So you may find that a situation where a middle order batsman might score 600 runs, but there may not be a place for him in the team because you have other competitors who have scored good runs, looking good too. And one of the things that people have to consider too is not only the amount of runs you score. You have to look against the attack that you score the runs against. You have to look at the condition in terms of atmospheric, the total environment, the pitches and so forth. And you also have to look at match sense, how they approach their innings. And that is why I would laud Louis for how he approached his innings, both times when he made the hundreds, and one would have forgotten that he had made a half century also.
55 in the
because
first match.
sometimes people, may just look at, and we like centuries. Yes, I do. As a selector, you like to know your batsmen make centuries. But if you can give me a good 80 in extremely hard, tough conditions that benefits your team, that 80 might even be better than 100 on a placid pitch. You understand? It tests your temperament, your ability, and so forth. And these are things that selectors would look at. And to top it off in terms of the question you asked, in terms of the runs being scored and so forth, I would challenge anybody who treat players unjust. You must, as a selector, ensure that you do justice. The game is not yours. And if you cannot go out there with a clean mind, a clean heart, and do things that are just, you can spoil a person's career.
Indeed.
You can destroy their whole life if you're not fair to them. And because it's a competitive game, you may find that sometimes you would have the pundits and saying, well, this person should be selected ahead of that person because he got 600 runs and that one only got 450 runs. But then it might be what role the person plays and what the team needed at the time and what you can use to balance your team.
Can I ask you to hold a sec, please, Mr. Spencer? We have a caller on the line. Good evening. Oh, we lost that caller. But we do have another caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome to On the Ball here at WINNFM 98.9.
Hi, Jai. Yeah, I'm back. I want to say that your guest is going down the right road. He continued to really make himself proud in terms of his assessment and his contribution. Really excited and happy in terms of what he's saying. Imagine where a selector can make or break someone's career and which is just something which I've seen happen over the years. But I really want to ask him in reference to a particular player, Jail Clark. He is a wicketkeeper batsman who has been around Sinkets, and the Leewards would have also played for the West Indies youth team. Could start playing since he's perhaps under 13, played for the also team under 15, under 17, 3 years for the West Indies tournament, West Indies team under 19. And I think someone who has been seriously, unfortunately overlooked in the Leewards, because when you look at it, there's a wicketkeeper from Trinidad where they brought in, played for the Leewards, and he was given a contract ahead of Clark, who is from the Leewards, who has been an investment in the Leeward, in West Indies cricket. West Indies selectors would have invested in this young and special talent. But unfortunately, in the Leewards, they did not see it fit to give this young man the opportunity to apply his craft, his trade. Even imagine where the coach of the West Indies team at that time would have spoken to him sometime recent and still cannot believe that he today has not been in the Leewards team or has not made the Leewards team even when Hamilton was not around. So I really would want you to speak in reference to Mr. Clark and his performance and what you think in terms of him as a keeper, his ability and his quality that he brings to this game. I will hold.
Thank you very much, Carla.
I must confess that I have not seen a lot of him. I saw him in Antigua. I inquired of him from our coach in terms of what he's doing in cricket. And I believe the person who could best answer that question as to Mr. Clark would be in the current coach of the Leeward Islands. One thing I do not want to do, I do not want to place myself in a position that I would say things that I am not sure about. I always want to be confident that I understand and I know the situation before I speak, because I really have the authorities that I have to answer to. I'm not the boss. I am, yes, chairman of selectors.
But you have a boss.
But I do have a boss. And not that I cannot speak my mind on any issue, because I'm known for that, but the fact is I respect authority.
Protocols, indeed.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I understand what you would have said, and because it's important for one to speak with authority and to speak when they do have information where they can speak objectively. If you do not have, all the information in reference to a player, because you perhaps maybe didn't see them, apply their trade over the years, you do not have the type of information that you perhaps would have liked to have to make a better judgment call, a better assessment.
And that's correct.
But he is someone definitely that I would want you to inquire, to investigate, because also it's unfortunate that in terms of cricket in the Leewards over, let's say, perhaps the last 10 years, we did not or have not had a tournament for many years. And that would have hampered or delayed the progress of many of the players over the years who would have, if they had a tournament, would have been able to perform and get into the Leeward Island team. But over the years, there were no tournament, and many times, sometimes they have won the cricket, and they had no 40 tournament, but for some reason, you still have a 40 team being selected. So I wondered, under what criteria unless they go by either sentiment, territory, or insularity, or perhaps people would have been there before and continue to give them an opportunity to play. Because there is no tournament, so which means then the people who would have come to develop themselves, like for instance, in this particular West Indies for the tournament, we have people who are playing in the first series. And if there were no series, then these people would not have been seen and they would not have been given no opportunity to be selected. So I want you to speak in reference. I think I've heard, which I welcome. I hope that the news I've heard is correct, because I've heard that we scheduled to have 3-day tournament sometime this year, perhaps around June, for the Leeward Island tournament. I'm not too sure if you would have any information in respect to that.
Yes, we are playing Leeward Islands cricket. There's the commitment to do so by the board, and I really don't speak on behalf of the board on issues like that, but I have to say that yes, the board has decided that they will play cricket in terms of Leeward Islands tournament, and rightfully so. It would allow for us as selectors to be able to make firm, strong decisions based on our observations of players and so forth. And I welcome that very much. And I know everyone who loves cricket and loves Leeward Islands cricket would welcome such. And going back quickly to something that was mentioned earlier on in terms of West Indies cricket and insularity and so forth, I, for one, can remember as far back as the Victor Eddy saga, where Errol Brown of Jamaica was selected to go to India to play for the West Indies ahead of Victor Eddy. And that was really, really something that should not have ever happened. And I don't speak about that because I'm in St. Kitts. I know that people who would hear me talk cricket would understand that I always happen that, because at one point I hailed Victor Eddy as one of the better players of spin bowling in the entire West Indies. And going on a tour where you're going to have spinners involved in particular, there was no way that Victor Eddy should not. And I think that's what killed him as a human being. When I say killed him, literally killed his cricket. You know, his moral had gone from ever since, because he had done enough to get into a West Indies team. And that is why, sitting where I sit as chairman of selectors for Leewards, I don't want at the end of my tenure as a selector that fingers couldn't be pointed at me to say that I've done injustice to any player. You may not, the public in general, some may understand circumstances, understand the game and so forth. Others, may not and just deal with sentiments and have their own opinions. But let us, as I would say for the umpteenth time, ensure that we make sober decisions and support whoever is selected for Leewards, irrespective of territories.
Thanks a lot, sir. We really appreciate it. We understand that there are a few players who will become available for this upcoming match tomorrow versus Trinidad and Tobago. The young Edwards, who was part of the West Indies under 19 setup, and we congratulate him because the ICC would have selected an 11. I refer to it as a World 11, and the young all-rounder Nathan Edwards, he was included. And for those who may not know, Quick Info, which is probably one of the top, if not the top cricketing website in the world, they would have selected an 11, and they had in Joel Andrew of West Indies under 19 as the wicket keeper. The ICC didn't pick him. But to me, that sends a strong message. But with Edwards becoming available, and we understand that Kyron Powell is also available, what consideration, how would that affect the selection? Or I pause as I go to the line and say good night to this caller. Welcome to On the Ball, caller. You're live.
Good night to Chai Biff. Chai Biff.
Good night.
How you do?
I'm blessed, highly favored, giving thanks. What about you, sir?
Man, I'm here listening to the program. And who gets to have a hand there with you?
Mr. Samuel Spencer. He is the chairman of selectors for Leeward's Cricket.
Oh, okay. In the studio with you, are here
Yes,
live?
he's live in the studio here. And today is his birthday.
Okay, happy birthday to him.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Mills, now I just want to commend the young guy, Kyle
Louis, yes. Kyle Louis.
Kyle Louis. I want to commend him and his brothers. You know, I believe that he do well, and he got good intention to do well. But, Mr. Mills, to be truthful, right? Sometimes we got to give them a chance and stop talk about the West Indies. Give the young guy a chance. Sometimes when you watch too much more talk, watch too much more from people, you just send them backward instead of go forward. The youngster is doing well. Let me wish the youngster all the best to continue to perform how he's performing. And if the West Indies selected them see potential and they pick and they pick him. We're glad for that. When you just talk, because when you just talk, when you look, you blunt the guy look. Or you blunt him because you just watch more. Sometimes we got to take it easy sometimes. We seen the guy doing well. You know? And, sport is cricket is one of our major thing here. And, football and basketball to power. And, it's just that the youngsters them getting into their own now and making the Leeward Island team and doing well. I made to understand it's 3 Louis brothers. And I want other young men, young boys to continue and start to play cricket. Because cricket is our number one sport here in the West Indies. And that's the only way we can make money. Especially look how they got the CPL, the 2020 now. You understand? So let me give the young guy a chance, man, and stop washing up mouth. Okay, then I continue listening to the program.
Thank you very much, caller, and thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Spencer. In terms of the Nathan Edwards and Powell, is there any truth that they are available for selection, for consideration for selection for this game? And if they are, how does that impact the dynamics of the team? It is normally said you don't change a winning team. And the Leeward's team having won so handsomely, would there be changes? Could there be changes?
I don't share the sentiments that you cannot change or should not change a winning team. I think you look at your opponents, you look at the structure of your team, and you look at the pitch you'll play on, you look at conditions, and you make sober decisions. So the theory that you don't change a winning team, would not sit well with me, because it's not every time a particular team would suit what you want to represent on a particular day, right? But having said that, all our players are available for selection. We have a pool of players that are available for selection, and hence we will select our team from those players that are available.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. The West Indies team. Shamar Joseph, he has been named by the ICC the Player of the Month for January. He's just been snatched up. Well, before I got to the snatched up, while he was in Australia still, he would have signed on to a team from the International League in Dubai. However, his toe incident, the broken toe, would have prevented him from fulfilling that contract. He has since been snatched up by the Indian team, an Indian team getting some $362,000, I think it is. Mm-hmm. And he has indicated publicly that the West Indies cricket, the West Indies test, that is his love and his passion. And he has been warned by, I think it was Roach, to take time, find your groove, etc., which to me is good advice. But we have had challenges over the years with that. Players not making themselves available for the test series and going off for the more lucrative T20. As a matter of fact, I think is it Pakistan or India that has actually banned one of their players because he didn't make himself available for the team, and they have indicated that they're not going to be giving him any, what's the document called, to allow him to play for other countries. That's how serious they take it. So what are your views in terms of that? Are we doing a good job? And yes, Shama has been given a retainer contract by the West Indies Cricket Board, but are we doing a good job? Are we doing enough to take care of our players, in your view, to prevent them looking at these other leagues and not making themselves available for the test team?
One would have to look at what the ICC is doing with cricket. You know, you have the big three, India, Australia, and England. And most of the money is distributed to these big three. And as a result, you would find that the cricket in the other countries would not have developed as rapidly as they should. And when one gets an opportunity to make monies, obviously they're going to look at it seriously and maybe forget the loyalty to their country. And I think that has happened a lot in West Indies cricket in particular, and, you know, in other countries. But I want to stick to West Indies cricket. I personally feel that the cricket calendar, in terms of test cricket and one-day internationals and so forth, have to be looked at very seriously to encourage upcoming and present West Indian players to play as much as possible for the West Indies, rather than going off to, you know, these lucrative situations in T20s and T10s and so forth. Nothing wrong in an individual wanting to make monies in terms of a career that they love or they actually would engage in. And it is often said that West Indian players only play for the money and, you know, they don't want to play for West Indies and things like that. I cannot subscribe to it fully because there is life after cricket. One injury could take you out of the game,
Indeed.
you know, like in the case of Simon Jones from England. But I also think that there can be a balance. There have to be some sense of loyalty to where you came from. For instance, your mother gave birth to you, and there have to be some sense of loyalty to your mother. And I see it that way with the cricket, you know. But at the same time, you have to balance looking after yourselves. And here's where I blame the International Cricket Council for not structuring things the way they should and allow for, you know, territories or governing bodies of other countries, like, you know, to take over the cricket, in particular in India, and now you have Dubai and, you know, the Pakistan League and all this stuff and so forth. But in honesty, each individual would have to make their own decision as to what they want to do. But I still maintain the fact that you have to have some sense of loyalty from where you have come from.
You're listening to On the Ball here on WINNFM 98.9. I'm Troy Biff Mills. With me live in the studio is the chairman of the Leeward Islands Cricket Board's Selection Committee, Mr. Sam Spencer. It is now 10 minutes to 9 o'clock. Time has flown, Sam, and today is his birthday, so I don't know if he has a party planned for us to attend. I know he can't be too heavy because he has duties tomorrow. But we have just about 5 minutes. And in terms of the games coming up, we have Leeward Islands. They're playing Trinidad and Tobago at Warner Park. There's only one match here in St. Kitts this weekend. Over at the Coolidge Cricket Ground in Antigua, West Indies Academy will be taking on Guyana Harpy Eagles, the defending champion. And remember, the West Indies Academy would have defeated the Leeward Islands in the first game. Jamaica Scorpions They are hosting Barbados Pride at Sabina Park and Chedwin Park, Spanish Town in Jamaica. They're seeing Windward Island Volcanoes, combined campuses and colleges. That first game against the West Indies Academy, a game we're still having a lot of debate here in St. Kitts. Perhaps they felt Leewards should have won, but worst case, Leewards should not have lost the game, probably a draw game. And what are your thoughts on that with the young, especially with the approach from the young West Indies Academy?
We played some poor cricket in that match. We could have done and should have done better. I know over the years that Leeward have started, slowly in competitions. But when you look at the team that we had put out there, we should have at least, you rightfully said, won that game. And if not, a draw. And I would not even go to the extent of settling for a draw in that particular match. I felt that some of the players did underperform, and it's not that I want to call down my players, but you must call a spade a spade. That's the way I look at life. And, it's not to demotivate anybody or things like that. We, would look at it and realize that we did not perform to optimum. But quite pleasing. And I'll tell you, I'll go back a little bit. After the game, I had a discussion with the other two selectors, and we were due to select the team for the second match. And I just told them, I'm not in the frame of mind at that particular moment, feeling very sour about the loss, that I need to sit down and, rethink things and look at it, and come out with a clear mind. Because you don't want to go into a selection room and select a team when you are really angry about things and so forth.
Correct.
And so we did that. But I'd like to say, though, that there is some sense of joy for what transpired in the second game that took away the sorrow from the first game. I can only hope that this trend continues, and I'd like to hear, wish all the players who were selected to play on the day or days, and those who are not selected to continue to encourage them, to continue to train, continue to make your presence felt around the dressing room or on the park and so forth, to support your fellow players, and just to wish everybody well in terms of Leeward's cricket, from the coach, the board, the other selectors, just everyone that is involved, or spectators. And I would like to encourage the spectators to come out and support. Even if you think your favorite player is not selected, support who is there, because they're the ones who are representing us.
Thank you, Sam. We have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to On the Ball. You have literally 15 seconds.
Good night, good night.
Good
Good night, sir.
I believe the West Indies Cricket Board dropped the ball. That same said on 20 team should have been playing together in this tournament. Nathan Edwards should have never been a question if he would be playing tomorrow. The whole team, because when you look at it, how they lose, the weather, and they played great, if you understand what I'm speaking of. Ain't much more time, so good night, goodbye.
Thanks a lot for your input, caller. And for those persons who are wondering, the points table, combined campuses, all teams have played 2 matches. They've lost both matches. However, they have 9.6 points because there are bonus points available. The Guyana Harpy Eagles, defending champions, they've lost 1 and there was a no decision, a draw. Pardon me, they have 10.4 points. They are in 7th position. The West Indies Academy, the team that defeated the Leeward Islands, they have won 1 match and they have lost 1. They are in 6th with 19.4 points. Barbados Pride, 5th, winning 1, losing 1, 22.8 points. Trinidad and Tobago, they are 4th. They've won 1 and 1 drawn game. They are 23.2 points. The Jamaicans, they are third, winning 1, losing 1, 24.4 points. The Leeward Islands in second place, winning 1, losing 1, they are 25.8 points. Just a matter of 1.4 points ahead of Jamaica. And the Windward Islands, they have won both matches they've played, so they are sitting at top of the table, 42.4 points. And the Windward Islands, I like them because over the years they've been showing some promise. They have been improving, but the race is not for the swift, but those who endure it to the end. Are there any final words you'll want to mention, Mr. Spencer?
I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to be on this program tonight. I just want to say to West Indian supporters of cricket to continue to support West Indies cricket. I'd like to say to our players in the Leeward Islands, the sky's the limit. Go out there when you're selected and perform. Give of your best. You're not only representing yourselves, but you're representing your families, your friends, the Leeward Islands public, the Leeward Island board, the selectors, everyone. And most of all, you can build a career. You can make a long, life-lasting impact on the people of the Caribbean. You can give us joy from performing well for Leewards and the West Indies. So for me, I'd just like to say that I would wish that everyone would take this seriously. Once you go out there to represent us, do it with a willing heart, do it with the best of your ability, and bring us the joy. I get most of my joy from cricket. At home, there are two things that happen on my television in my bedroom: cricket and news. Nothing else.
No movies.
No, sir.
No Trinidad Calypso finals.
Cricket and news. And this is for years.
You really love your cricket, sir.
Yes. The president of the Leeward Islands Cricket Association, Mr. Enoch Lewis, both of us grew up in the same village. And he will give you a story. I'm not going to give you the story. He will give you the story about me and the cricket. The only thing, a part of it I'll give you is that I'll get licks today, tomorrow, the next day, and the next day, and I go back and do the same thing.
So you were not learning.
I'll go back and
That's really the love for cricket.
Yes. I'll just give you a part of it. They will send me to the shop, to buy bread for breakfast, and you're not seeing me back home until night. The bread coming home in the night.
So you starve your family.
And I get blows and I go back and do the same thing tomorrow. Again. Eventually they just have to leave.
Yeah, they realize that you love the cricket. But could I slip in a quick question? Has the Leeward Islands team for tomorrow been released yet? Has it been announced?
The team has been given to the board. So the board will release the team in due course.
Okay. We thank you, Mr. Spencer, for being here, and especially because it's your birthday. And again, we wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you.
And it's the second time you've been here. I don't consider you a stranger anymore. Well, never did you feel so like you've been a part of this thing. And we look forward to having you again in future, if not in person, via Zoom. And we really appreciate your contribution tonight. We thank the callers who would have called in, and we hope that Mr. Spencer would have answered your questions most adequately. And if you need to contact him to any questions you have still, you can WhatsApp me 668-2055 and I'll forward them on to him. You've been listening to On the Ball here at WINFM 98.9 with your host, Troy Biff Mills. I thank you for tuning in. You had choices. You could have been doing anything, but you chose to listen to On the Ball here at WINFM 98.9. To the callers, we thank you very much for calling in. We appreciate it. We encourage you to call in again in future. And we invite any entity, individual, organization, group to actually come on board and be a partner with us, be a sponsor on the Ball. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to having you. And we ask that you contact 466-9586, our marketing department, who will gladly walk you through your benefits of being a sponsor of On The Ball. Or you can give me a call, 668-2055. We're going to be leaving now, and as we do, thanks again to our guest, Mr. Spencer, and the callers. And as usual, I encourage you to all, and forgive me, I must thank my technician, Mr. Jamser, and I encourage you to always be positive in your thoughts, in your words, and in your actions. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.